Economic systems, late 15th and early 16th century. The period from 1450 to 1650 was marked by significant economic transformations across the globe. This video will help you understand the various economic systems that existed during this time and how they influenced societies differently. Here are some key economic systems. Number 1. The feudal system. The feudal system was characterized by a hierarchical structure where land was the main source of wealth and power. Lords owned large estates and peasants worked the land in exchange for protection and a place to live. This system created a rigid class structure and limited social mobility. Peasants were often bound to the land and had little opportunity to improve their economic status. Did you know? Each manor under the feudal system was largely self-sufficient, containing its own agricultural production, mill, and church. Number 2. The market system. The market system began to emerge as trade expanded. Goods and services were exchanged in markets, and prices were determined by supply and demand. This system allowed for more economic flexibility and the growth of a merchant class. It also laid the groundwork for the development of capitalism. Did you know? The city of Venice became a major trading hub during the Middle Ages, facilitating the exchange of goods between Europe and the East, and contributing to the rise of the market system. Number 3. The capitalist system. Capitalism is defined by private ownership of the means of production and the creation of goods and services for profit. It began to mature in the 16th century, particularly in Western Europe. Did you know? Adam Smith, a Scottish economist, wrote The Wealth of Nations in 1776, which laid the foundations for modern economic theory and capitalism. Number 4. The mercantile system. Mercantilism was the dominant economic theory in Europe during this period. It emphasized the accumulation of gold and silver and maintaining a favorable balance of trade. Mercantilism led to the establishment of colonies, which were seen as sources of raw materials and markets for finished goods. Did you know? Christopher Columbus's voyages to the Americas were funded by the Spanish monarchy, aiming to increase Spain's wealth through new trade routes and colonies. Economic systems in different regions. Europe. European technological developments in navigation and cartography facilitated global trade and the establishment of new trade routes. Economic systems in different regions. Americas. The economies of European colonies in the Americas were restructured to serve the interests of the mother countries. This often involved the exploitation of indigenous peoples and African slaves. The growth of the plantation economy in the Americas increased the demand for slave labor, leading to the transatlantic slave trade. Did you know? The introduction of sugarcane plantations in the Caribbean by the Spanish and Portuguese in the 16th century drastically increased the demand for slave labor. Economic systems in different regions. Asia. European powers had less influence on the economic systems in Asia compared to the Americas. Asian economies continued to dominate regional trade, particularly in the Indian Ocean. Did you know? The Ming dynasty in China, under the leadership of Emperor Yongle, commissioned the voyages of Admiral Zheng He, expanding Chinese trade influence across the Indian Ocean. Economic systems in different regions. Africa. Slavery in Africa persisted, with both traditional forms of slavery and the export of slaves to the Mediterranean and Indian Ocean regions. The demand for slaves in the Americas also affected African societies, leading to increased warfare and social disruption. Did you know? The Kingdom of Mali, under Mansa Musa, became one of the wealthiest and most powerful states in Africa, with Timbuktu as a key center for trade and learning. Overall, the period from 1450 to 1650 saw the coexistence and interaction of various economic systems, each with its own characteristics and impacts on society. Understanding these systems helps us appreciate the complexities of global economic history and the foundations of the modern world.